That's a song. That's a great song. Okay, yeah. Broadcasting live from Millennium Student Center. This is the Superfun local show. I am Erin. I am here with Tim and Alex from Isabella. That was the title track off the new record they are getting ready to release called Nice Knives. And I guess you guys said that you had a couple records before.
Sure.
2, 3. And what was different about this one? I mean, you've recorded at a different place every single time. I think from what I gathered from what you were just saying.
For the most part, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure everybody has their own process.
Absolutely. This is definitely the shortest we've driven to make a record, if that makes sense. We did the first 2 in Cleveland. We did a single in Chicago, and then we did the Obstacles record in Atlanta. So making the drive to Atlanta, it's especially just in comparing Obstacles to the new record, making that drive the 8 hours down there, and then you stay there and you live there for 2 weeks, and that's all you do is eat, breathe, and sleep what's going on there and in that studio for that week. So we drove back and forth quite a bit for this. We were at home almost every night. So we'd drive up and we'd record for 10 hours or so during the day with Matt, and then we would just go back home that evening. I think Tim and Jake stayed in the studio.
Yeah.
They camped in there, I think, the last week that they were in finishing everything up. But for the most part, we all got to kind of go home and kind of relax and kind of disassociate from that. Whereas if you drive 8 hours to Atlanta, you're sitting outside going, well, I really have nothing to do. I really don't have any money.
Probably makes the process a lot more enjoyable.
It's a lot less stressful.
Like, yeah.
We should have been doing it in the first place. Because even the Cleveland trips for the first time were the same kind of situation. You end up in Cleveland going, oh, we have a flat tire on the side of this highway, and we have no ability to call or get any kind of help. Whereas driving from St. Louis back and forth, you're only 2 hours.
That's not that bad.
No.
Not in comparison at all.
Absolutely.
Now, there are people that would say 2 hours is ridiculous, but, it's I don't think so.
I mean, we tried 12 and we tried 8. And
then
we settled for 2 and went, okay, this is easily the best move to be making.
Very cool. You said the last album was the heaviest. What is your writing process like? How do you guys? Because everybody does that different. Who does? Or do you all just collaborate? Or do you want to divulge that?
Oh,
some people are all secretive.
I mean, it usually starts with the guitars and the drums. Jake and Alex kind of hash it out, and then we get a song jamming. We're all together. I'll start feeling out some things, and then I write about life, just what I'm going through. On this album, I went through losing some family members, nasty breakup, and just enjoying being in the band and celebrating that. And I think that all is portrayed in the lyrics on the album. So
I think we really write every song isn't necessarily have its own like a set. Like we write things, we write guitars, then we write drums, then we all work on lyrics together. Like each song kind of comes together in its own way. And I know that kind of sounds big and wonderness, but even on this new record, we have of the songs, I mean, several of them started with just vocal lines, and then we ended up working from the vocal lines into Yingling. Or, some of them we worked on.
We finished vocals in the studio.
Yeah, some of them did not have vocals going into the studio. So
wow. Well, hey, you know what though? That's awesome. It's just I think it makes it more
it's more individual for sure. Like each one of them definitely doesn't get the same kind of treatment.
Right.
That's how you end up getting a whole bunch of songs with the same kind of feel and the same kind of vibe to them. And I think there's only 2 songs on this record that are even close to the same tempo. Everything else is pretty well its own kind of speed, its own kind of stance, if you will.
Yeah, we don't have a permanent formula for the songs. They all kind of just happen how they happen.
That's I mean, I don't know. I've talked to several. I don't play music at all. I love music, but I don't play. I don't write. I don't know how it works. And I always find it interesting when I ask different bands that and sometimes they'll say things that are like you guys said a couple things that I've heard from a bunch of other people, but then it's always different across the board.
It's always different,
and everybody's got their own the way they do things, and I think it just makes it more fun. Because it's not. It's an art. It's not it's not a science. It's an art. It's a
And that kind of goes back into the traveling. Like when you go to Atlanta and you're sitting in Atlanta and you go, okay, I have 2 weeks to put everything that's going to go into this, and that's all we've got. And then you're going to come home and that's it. Whereas you go up to St. Louis, we can go back home, we get all of our stuff together and go, oh, you drive the 2-hour drive. Whereas there, you are only sitting in that studio listening to those same 8-9 tracks that you have going and go, oh, this is what works, this doesn't work. It definitely helps the process in being able to expand and create all that.
And I'm sure it would be really hard to, if you were having a really terrible day and
right,
you're having to go in and sing, this is going to be the best summer ever, and lay that down, and that's going to be on your album. and you're just not feeling it like that.
And outside the van doesn't get you home.
Right.
Like, we're sitting here figuring out, the record guy's sitting here wanting to know when you're going to pay him, all this kind of stuff. And then you're sitting here going, well, crap, we just got to get these lyrics down. And then all of a sudden the lyrics or the music or whatever it is doesn't come out the way you want it. And you can't really disconnect from it. It's really,
Right.
you're kind of stuck sitting here. So we kind of got to have a new environment every day,
Right. And you were coming up to St. Louis a lot more. I know, like I said, I wasn't really following the local scene a lot, but I hadn't heard of you at all, and I hadn't seen your name around or anything. So, and then all of a sudden you were everywhere. And I don't know if that had to do with just me paying more attention or it just
took a break for a while with everybody graduating school and stuff coming up, and
that
then
was
we're hitting it hard again.
right. And I mean, I figured since you were in St. Louis more anyway because of recording, maybe that played a part as well. I mean, that's where I was going with it. Was like if you were already up here, like tonight, you're already up here, so you're gonna go head over and see a couple of your friends' bands play. Two birds, one stone. I figure that might be kind of the same. Even though when you're in the studio, it's kind of hard to play out because your stuff's in the studio, right?
Well, sure. I mean, you could honestly, I don't know that you'd want that stress. I mean, it's definitely a way to keep working and making money while you're doing the record. And all that, because let's be serious, records they're not cheap. So
No.
somebody's paying somewhere. So a lot of bands will play shows while they're in the studio to keep that all going. But no, you're just exactly right though. It's just you don't need that kind of stress while you're trying to be that creative. It's just at some point you're overloading yourself and you're not going to be happy with the product that comes out.
Right. And you guys worked on this record for a while. I mean, it's been like almost a year now?
I think we recorded the Endgame song with Matt in October of last year, and that is track 2 on the new record. So that song came out in February, which is when we shot that video at Pops. And then I believe we did all the rest of the songs in March.
We had 2 songs pretty much together a year before Endgame came together, though.
Oh, sure.
Lean and Comfort.
You just
Then
hadn't
we kinda
laid
took a
them down
break.
yet?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of took a break and then finished up the album.
Oh, that's cool though, because like that's probably why, like you said, it's there's all these different elements. They're all it's something for everybody. I really
Sure.
think that's a great album. It really is. I'm stoked, and I'm stoked for the CD release. So before we'll take another break here for the cameras and play a song, but when we come back, we're gonna talk about the CD release. Before I break, I want to intro this band. This is one of the bands that is on your CD release show. These guys. We'll probably actually see a couple of them tonight. So, My Legacy, My Ghost. They've been in here with me. They're super nice guys.
Absolutely.
I'm really stoked to see them. And sadly, this is going to be their last show for a while.
I did see that, and I hate to hear that, but I think it's because they are working on bigger and better things and dialing their stuff in.
Yeah. They're not gone. They're not leaving.
For sure.
They're taking a break.
Well, we live that life,
Right.
Being in school and getting through that, there's so many things that go on, and sometimes you got to step back for 5 minutes and get your
Right.
stuff together. And that's how
And
you
they're
come
gonna
back.
focus on some writing and getting vision and whatnot. I don't know for sure, but I don't want to accidentally divulge any secrets or anything. But they really do have a great sound and they're very positive message again. So
You would think with their name that they're a metal band. You would think that with My Legacy, My Ghost, especially with the fonting that they choose.
Right.
But when I went and saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are actually super energetic, like pop punk music almost. And these guys are great. And
Yeah.
I was like, I totally expected going in that it'd be a metal band.
no, they're not at all. And I kind of thought so too. And actually, their vocalist Fox is a drummer.
Sure.
And played in a metal band before this, I think. So I'm sure they pull from that.
I'm sure.
You all pull from everything. But
Ugh.
anyway, without further ado, this is one of my favorite tracks by them. And thank you, Nate, for clarifying which one you wanted me to play. But yeah, this is Cherry Blossoms. And we will be back in a minute.